Let's go, Ray. Show us what you got.
All right, here we go. So we're gonna do a screen share. Share screen. I'm gonna do the entire screen just cause. Okay. So I'm assuming, can someone in the audience just let me know through the chat that you can see the screen? Want to make sure that everybody can see the screen. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Pete. Sentius. All right. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to walk through the node manager here. The first thing to keep in mind about the node manager is how to actually get to it. So I'm in a Chrome browser. I have the node manager instance running on a Ubuntu WSL instance that is on my machine here. I access that down here through this icon. And that opens up a terminal that I'm able to interact with on command line. That then lets me install the node and bring me to this point here where I have a user interface like this. This is a Chrome browser. I have a MetaMask wallet that's attached to this session as well. That MetaMask wallet is actually already attached. You can see over here, there's a wallet connect feature up here. I can disconnect the wallet if I like as well. This is the amount of CHPC that I might have in that wallet and how many HYPC tokens I presently have inside of this wallet. The URL is important. It is the IP address of the machine running the node. That's those numbers there. For those of you who have H boxes, this is important. You have this same node manager already running on your H box. So if you walk up to your H box and click on the screen and go to system information, there's something called IPv4. That's the IP address. That's what this number here is. And this number will show you that. Okay, so stream is still running. I don't see that my stream is showing, Antonis. Do you see the node manager window or?
Yeah, we
Okay,
can all see it.
okay, I see. It's in my little thing, my Discord tab. Okay, good. So yeah, again, so for HBox owners and other people who are installing the node, this is the IP address that is running the instance, and this here is the port, the default port that the instance is running on for this admin panel. Okay, very important to get to this if you want to see the node. Okay, so after you've logged in and you see, we're going to kind of briefly run through what's happening here. Up here in this corner is the name of my node. I have control over this, and this is something that if you start poking around in the Hypercycle Explorer, you'll see this come up. This is the version of the node. This is the current most recent release of the node. This is actually a release that's only available to the CBNO group. We have a very tight knit group and a great connection to the dev team. And we're doing a lot of bug fixes and patches and making sure that the system is stable and smooth. Over here, we have the wallet that is connected through this widget up here and the abbreviated address. You see this yellow bar across the top here. So there is a hot wallet that is part of the node and that's actually making payments to royalty and handling the exchange of Ethereum in and out of the node. And that wallet can be topped off and controlled in terms of what its threshold is, how much ETH it has, and what its wallet address is. And we'll look at that later in the financials tab over here. But when that threshold has been when we're under that threshold, you'll see this banner just kind of warning you that you're under the threshold for the ETH in your node manager. Okay, so below this, we have all of the licenses that are available to the node manager from Connected Wallet. So when I use this Connect Wallet widget, I connect the wallet, it reads the wallet and it says, oh, I see ANFIs. If you've noticed, I've got ANFIs here. I also have a license that is not a node factory because it needs CHYC backing. It's telling me that here. And if you notice down here, I actually also have two ANFIs that are in my wallet that are currently delegated to HMS. And the way you see that here is delegated to CEO. That's the way it looks in this panel. So these two ANFIs I've actually subscribed to HMS. This ANFI here I subscribe to myself on my own little HMS, what the node manager and being a node operator is all about. You get to handle the financials, you get to control the costs, and handle the movement of payments in and out of the node, and also the deployment of AIMS, which we'll look at here briefly. ANFIs are very easy to attach to the node, and you do need a license if it's a node factory or an ANFI to enable the functionality of the node in general. And it's as simple as clicking register. It'll create a transaction, put that on chain, and then it starts to till. To see the tilling status of this, you can either go through this node information here or over to info. So now we're going to move over to our own personal, basically like a Hypercycle Explorer for your specific node. I'm going to click over on info over here. So this tells us what our license number is, and you can use this license number in the Hypercycle Explorer and look at it there as well. It tells us that this is a base license, so we are tilling on base, that is active. Tells us what the status of the license is, the key, its delegated ID, and also the block on the chain that it was delegated in. So our block height on the Hypercycle blockchain right now is somewhere around 622,000. Okay, that's how many blocks we've seen since in the 2+ years that we've been running. This particular ANFI base license got delegated at this block height. That's what that means for those of you who are curious what that means there. Okay, coming down, some of this will start to look familiar. It's just a more zoomed in view than what you see in the Hypercycle Explorer. How much uptime I have with my ANFI, how much downtime. In this case, the only real reason I have so much downtime here is because this is running on a personal machine, and I do on occasion bring down the machine. I'll turn it off or whatever at night, sometimes power it down. So this downtime is exclusively associated with me turning my machine off. It doesn't have to do with the tilling or the stability of the network or any issues with the node or anything like that, just to make that clear. And then you see also my tilling history. I have a better tilling history with my node manager than we currently do with HMS, and that's being resolved and worked on now. We expect to see actually fixes to that within the next couple of weeks. This dead here is actually me doing a reboot on the machine, but generally speaking, stability of the ANFI and node licenses is high within the node manager that I'm running for myself. When I come over to AIMS over here, I'm going to see a developmental environment, and I'm going to change this over here in a moment for you guys to see what's happening. So I actually just finished developing a new AIM for a voice board text-to-speech AIM that we're running in the CBNO. So I've created my own local registry. It's a local host address. I can come in here. I can get some information about this AIM and what its requirements are and what some of its the endpoints are, the paid endpoints are. So I'll be coming back to this to show you that we can control the cost for the aims that we deploy and the calls that they're making. We'll be coming back here to this specific URI here that controls how much it costs to interact with an aim that we're going to show you. But I just wanted to show you what that looks like. I'm going to come over to settings over here. This is a brief tour of some of the things that you can change at a GUI level. All of these settings we can change at the command line. These are all config YAML files and Node.json files, and all of these things that are part of the node stack and the software stack of the license itself. And so here we have, this is where I would name my node, what network I'm on mainnet, my visible address, etc., what port I'm running on. Down here is where I would change the registry that I'm using. So by default, out of the box, a node is going to be looking at a Docker Hub Hypercycle official registry of about 55 aims that have already been developed for the community, that already do things, that are already in use. Some of those aims are actually what are making money for HMS. So what I'm actually going to do right now is change myself from the local host, click modify, erase this, come here, change it to this value, and then I'm going to save changes. What this is going to do is it's going to say, hey, node, I want you to talk to a different registry, not your own personal test custom registry that you've developed locally, but what we're using actually for the network at large. You can see over here some status messages happening on the top right. The service is being restarted because I'm actually in a new session and I'm looking at a new registry. We're going to wait for this node to restart. This is what you see when a node is starting or restarting. You get this sort of wheel of activity. Now I'm going to come back here to aims, and you see now I have a whole list of aims down here. You see the difference? I still have my aim running up here, and we'll look at that here in a moment and what that's doing. But this is the list of all the aims that we have in the repo that we can actually deploy. And there's some basic information here. The name of the aim, its namespace, it's going to be Hypercycle at the moment. I anticipate in the future we'll have multiple namespaces for different communities of people developing different AIM groups, right? So you could have a namespace of CBNO, a namespace of Robin AI Consultants, whatever namespace you want, what kind of repo it is, how many times the image has been used, or at least how many times it's been pulled. And you can see some of these have very large numbers in the thousands and hundreds. So there actually has been quite a bit of use of some of these aims through development and testing and what we're seeing in HMS right now. I can search. So let's say I'm curious about a specific aim that I'd like to deploy. In this case, the turquoise TTS aim in the search box here. I can type that in, and I can go do a view into the aim. So what this view gives me is it tells me a little bit about the name, the last time this particular aim was updated. There's a development pipeline and there's changes, addendums, and whatnot that are made to these images. This is the last time this guy was updated. This is how many times it's been pulled for use. And this here, it would be the OS architecture. AMD 64 is what I'm on now. There is an ARM 64 architecture that's available. And that is what, for example, the H boxes and some of the other like Raspberry Pi type hardware resources will be running on. This is mine here. These are the different tags. So these are different versionings of this particular aim. I am using latest at the moment. And then this is the size of the aim. Some aims are just a few kilobytes, a few megabytes. This is a large speech to text language processing aim. So it's an AI model that takes speech and text and turns it into speech. I'll show you what that actually looks like in real time here in a few minutes. But keep in mind that as a node operator, when you click on deploy here for this particular aim, the aim will be downloading the image. And this is a 5 GB image. So depending on the speed of the network that your node is on, that determines how fast this thing happens. Yes, thank you, Ragtime. It does. It's come a long ways, actually. I've been with this node since a few versions before. I think even 0.010. It's come a long ways. It's actually quite a bit more stable than it was back then. And so down here is the AIM environment. Now notice this is an important piece of deployment here. We can deploy here through the node manager. We can also deploy through the command line, of course, and you can also create auto deployment scripts and whole clusters of deployment and scaling for your node if you like. There's a whole pathway for that. We'll get into it in more advanced shares. But a reason I'm bringing this up, the node, if you come over here to settings, you will see that we have a range of ports that we're using right here. AIM, so this is our registry. Our start port is 9,000 and our end port is 9100. You see that right there? So we have a range of 100 different AIM deployments that we can do on this instance without making any further modifications. Okay, that's what's happening here. So coming back over to AIMs, turquoise, going to come over to this guy, come to my view. And so notice that it's not 9,000 here, it's 9,001. And the reason for that is because I'm already taking 9,000. So 9,000 is slot 0. The very last number in that port is your AIM slot. So if I'm going to deploy another AIM, let's say I want to deploy this buoyancy AIM, some of you may be familiar with. This is a smaller one. It's under a gig. Notice again, it's still saying 9001. So that's going to be slot 1 and so forth. So for people who are looking at being node operators, you're managing your instances, its access to your resources, and what slot that's at. And that's important in terms of accessing that later through your UI and whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to come down now that we've taken a brief little tour through AIM. Does anybody have any questions about this AIM dashboard and anything else that they'd like to see before I move on to financials? I'm watching the chat to see if you have any questions about this particular area. Okay, moving on. So financials. Okay, so this is the financials of the node itself and the hot wallet associated with it. So far, I have passed 6 USDC through this node in my testing. I have sent and deposited in multiple instances USD, actual mainnet, ETH-based USDC into the node to perform transactions on one of the aims that I'll be showing you. And you can see which wallet has been sending these payments. So this is what's called the user balance. And that's important because for a user to have access to the aim that they're paying for, there's a signature that happens in the UI of the game itself that says, yes, I'm the one that paid for it, therefore I'm the one that has access to it, and no other wallet or user has access to it except for me because of this user balance right here. And right now I have a balance of 3.39 USDC in my wallet available to me as a user for usage of the AIM that's been deployed. And we'll show you that in a second. Down here is where it starts to get interesting. These are the royalties. So royalties, you can see, for example, when you go to your HMS dashboard and you see that revenue up there, eventually, when that hits 5 USDC, you can withdraw that. It's very similar here. We have actually two users that are seeing royalties here. One is a developer. Actually, the developer of the AIM has a royalty that's coming off of this. So that's what this is here. They're actually seeing some money off of my transactions. And so, for those of you out there who are developers and are interested in looking at developing AIMs, that's one of the cool things that you can build into your AIM is royalties for usage of the AIM. You can set that, of course, you want to be fair if you want people to actually use it. But it's a great way. Another great way to make passive income is to have royalties for your AIMs. And I can actually force a USD payout by coming here. Otherwise, it'll pay out. The node manager has it set at 50 USDC. You can set that at 5, you can set that at 2, whatever setting you want. The node operator has a lot of control over how things work and what the thresholds and trigger points are for the movement of funds within the financial system of the node here. And then these are the royalties for me. So I've, of course, kind of sort of paying myself back from the 60 USDC that I deposited. I've already used 2.5 USDC in my testing, and that comes back to me, and I can actually give that back to myself by forcing that here. Okay, now I'm going to come over to that. That's the financials of balances, recent transactions. So here you actually have a log of all the transactions that have come into the node, and here is the sender, my test wallet, transaction ID, how much was sent, and when it was sent. So it's a really nice log of the transactions that are happening across your node for the AIMs that you have deployed. And then here are the exchange rates. So we actually have a service on the node that's keeping track of the value of USDC and HYPC in the market and how to do the exchange rates. This exchange rate is important for some of the node functions. Some of the AIMs are operating on payments of HYPC or exchange equivalents of HYPC and USDC. So it's either moving with HYPC or it's accepting USDC by default, but using this exchange rate to define the call within the code of the AIM itself. That's what this is all about. And you can actually define what oracles it uses for those exchange rates here as well. Okay, so we've gone through home. This is the front board. We see our tilling history and uptime, our AIMs, our AIM library and registry down here, our financials page, what's happening here across the node management and the whole movement of cost and flow of funds to the node. Now we're going to come over to the monitor. So the monitor is a basic view of the resources that the node is taking from the hardware that it's running on. Okay. So in my case, I have an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5060. I actually just installed this last week so that I can run one of the AIMs that I'm helping to develop. That AIM wanted 8 gigabytes of free VRAM, and I only had 6 gigabytes of free VRAM. So I upped it to 16. So currently I'm using 19% of my 16 gigs, and it's running at a temp of 48 degrees Celsius. You can see that here. And then this is basically just usage history, CPU speed, how much memory am I using? I'm using just under 24 gigs out of the 39 gigs that I've given this particular instance, and then how much free space I have on the disk that the node itself is sitting on. That's what that's all about. Over here in logs, this is where we start to get a little bit more underneath the processes, what's happening. So for example, the server is replicating a block off in the network, the AIM service here, and the history of what I've been doing with my AIM, downloading image, starting image. When you see this message, this means the image has begun and it's broadcasting itself here. And then some of the other error message and things that are happening in my testing process. Admin, just calls that are being made to this page actually, and some of the other admin services that the node is doing. Here's the famous Merklizer. So here's where you actually see a little bit of what the Merklizer is actually doing. So on the network, there is a heartbeat every few minutes. There is an announcement that all of the active nodes in the network make and say, "Hey, I'm here. I have this license. This is my identity. This is how I'm going to validate myself as a participant on the network. I'm signing this hash to this transaction, and I'm submitting it to the Merklizer so that you can enter it into your Merkle tree, that Earth-64 data structure. This is kind of what we're seeing a little bit of here. This is the activity of the node signing those hashes and providing proof of itself to the network. That's what this is about. This here is a replication stream. So the node is making a basic copy of the blockchain for itself. It's replicating some of the data, not all of it. Doesn't need to. It just replicates enough of it to interact with it, and that's what you see here. There's a replication system, and then some information about the network and what's happening here within the node. And then back over to settings. So again, you can change the name of the node. By default, it's Hypercycle Node. You can change what ports it's running on. This is an important area here. So the only way to get the financials page actually functional and the hot wallet created and talking to mainnet Ethereum or Base is here. You have to come here, enable the Ethereum driver, give it a provider, like an inferior endpoint. There are default providers that are working now in the latest version of the node manager. These are basically just reading the blockchain state of Ethereum or Base and telling you, yeah, this wallet has this many funds, it has this assets, etc. That's what that's doing. This is where you set that threshold. This banner that you see here that's warning me that I've gone below the threshold, I can set the threshold, and this is where you do that. This is also where I tell the system I'm not willing to pay more than 15 gwei in gas fees. And this is actually high these days, right? We're not seeing more than like 5, I think, these days. Maybe more on congested days, but this is much lower than it used to be. Thank God. Address royalty and royalty threshold. So this is actually where we would actually start divvying up how the royalty is distributed and what the threshold is here. So, for example, right now, when 50 USDC has been received by the node in those royalty wallets, it's automatically sent out to those recipients. Whereas if I come over here to financials, I can force that payout by coming here. Okay, so that's what that's all about. Okay, so that is a pretty good tour of the node. I'm going to open myself up for questions before I move into
Yeah,
demonstrating one of our
I've got
aims.
one question. We've got one question from Robin. So we need main F and base F in the wallet to do transactions. I thought we never had to use F chain again. So obviously you're using Ethereum for this, but you don't have to, do you, Ray? Do you want to touch upon that? Because there is other
Yeah,
chains. If you want to
yeah,
build with other chains,
absolutely. So, yes, so right now the node manager is functioning and running and taking payments and sending payments on Ethereum mainnet. That is the function of the payment engine right now. It is operating on Ethereum mainnet. So you do need main ETH in the wallet to do transactions with the node. So that is the function of the node at the moment. Base is built into the node, and in very near future versions, the default payment system of the node will be Base mainnet and not Ethereum mainnet. But for at this moment, it is actually Ethereum mainnet. I hope that answers your question. Thought we never had to use ETH chain until we sell the ETH nodes. Yeah, the only thing we're doing here with these transactions is, for example, taking a payment from ETH mainnet and paying out a royalty, and then any of the transactions that are going across the AIM itself are taking place in ETH mainnet. Default will be base chain even for ETH nodes. Yeah, so the ETH nodes are enabling the node manager to function and be able to deploy AIMs. but the actual code base that's handling the payments and the microtransactions and all of the things that you've seen under financials will take place on base. Yes, it will be default. Yeah, super cool. I know. And having Amphies, I really got to see the beauty of the Amphi in the node manager. It was very easy to register. And I was able to till it. So the people who are in CBNO right now are the first people able to actually have control over their Amphi use and tilling their Amphi and generating their own reputation history for the Amphi. So that was really cool to be a part of. We're the first there. It's always fun to be first. Okay, I see Bonswago is typing something. I'm gonna move over to streaming the our voice board demo that we just started using in the CBNO and show you what's happening there with one of the aims that we have in our library. Okay. All right, so moving on. So I'm going to switch over to the voice board demo screen, and I need to ask you guys if you can see it because I can't see it in my tile, but I'm assuming I'm sharing the screen and you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, excellent. Awesome. Okay. So I'm also now going to press on play. And what it's going to do is it's going to play a sample default voice. You see this text right here in this window? You are now hearing this in my voice. That's what you should hear when I click this button. So let me know if you can hear that.
You are now hearing this in my voice?
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard
I
it.
got one. I got two yeses and one no. How about you, Antonis? Is that a yes for you?
Yes, I heard it.
Okay. I had to stream muted. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, great. So this is going to be a little bit more audience engagement. I am going to ask you guys for things that you want this thing to say. And keep in mind that there's no filter, okay? So we can use bad words if we want to. And with some of the avatars that we have in here, you kind of want to hear them say bad words. Because the way they say it is pretty funny. Okay, so first things first, I've come to my aim that I've deployed. It's a voice board demo aim. There are two pieces to this aim. Okay, there's the back end aim, that's the AI model processing the text to speech algo and taking what I'm typing and turning it into speech based on the different voice avatars that you'll see here in a moment. Okay, that's the aim running on the node. Also running on my node that's not in the aim, but still being provided and served by me as a node operator is this UI. So this page here is a UI that's been developed specifically for this aim. I actually myself went in and made quite a few modifications and improvements to this UI, including a wallet connect. So we're going to connect ourselves to the aim. And notice when I do that, I get a signature request. So what that's telling you is what it's doing is saying, hey, you're talking to the node manager. I need to know that you are the wallet that has sent funds to the node manager. Because if you are, I'm going to allow you to use the AIM with the balance that you have in the AIM, which you can already see down here. See this balance, 3.39 USDC. So I'm going to confirm that. Notice after I confirm, a couple things happen. I can see the balance of USDC in the connected wallet up here in the top right. I can also see some of these voice avatar images. See these guys? These guys show up after I've confirmed my access to being a paying user for this AIM. You see here we have Geralt from Witcher, Halle Berry, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, Patrick, I forget his last name, but the Star Trek guy.
Patrick Stewart.
Walking, huh?
Patrick Stewart, I believe.
Patrick Stewart, there he is. Carl Sagan, the famous astronomer. So some of these voices have been encoded into the game and are allowing us to play it. There's good old Snakes from Pulp Fiction, one of my favorites. All right, so a few other things to note. So at the moment, you see my balance is 3.39 USD. This is actually USDC. And that is the same balance that I have available in the node that I deposited. This estimate here is 0.01. That is based on how many characters I'm taking in my text to speech request. So notice right here, I have the number of characters out of 100 that are possible that I could use in this request. Okay, the more characters I use, the more expensive this becomes. If I add, let's say, one here, and I click send here, it will send more USDC from my wallet to the node for performing these transactions. Okay, that's how you make deposits into the wallet with this particular UI. And something I want to say about these UIs and these aims, not all of the aims in the registry have UIs. And that's been done on purpose. The aims are there as the back end service compute engine for the AI models that are brought to the Hypercycle network. Developers who want to make use of what those aims do and develop their own aims, in more cases than not, are going to be developing their own user interfaces. So Hypercycle is not going to be developing all these different user interfaces for people, because in over 9 times out of 10, those developers are going to have their own UI, their own styling, their own CSS and indexing pages and web pages, and they're going to want to present the UI in their own way. Our job is to make sure that you have a way to connect to the node and pass payments through the node. So this is a demonstration of that for you, and a UI that has been built to demonstrate the function of the aim. But this UI can be as pretty or as ugly as you want it to be. You as a node operator also have control over the development of this UI. It's something else that happens as a node operator. You can actually do that yourself. Okay, so we are ready to do some processing. Before I do that, I want to show you this screen. Can you guys see this screen? This is a new window that is a GPU performance monitoring. Can you guys see this particular window? Okay, good.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. So I'm going to give you a quick little tour. This is a little more under the hood, and I brought this in because I wanted to see how my GPU was reacting to requests that I'm making from the UI. So here this tells me I have one GPU in my system. It is at slot 0. This is the model of the card. It's what do you call it? Specs. The information that it's taking actually in real time, it's pretty cool. You can actually see information going in and out of the card. The speed that it's running at, how hot it is, its fan, and how much power it's using out of the total power. It has 180 watts that it can give you, and it's using 17 of those now. It's using 13% of the GPU, a little over 3.5 gigs of the total 16 gigs of RAM that are available. Okay, and it's kind of like a histogram chart of the access and the performance that's happening across this guy. So I'm going to minimize him, and we'll show that to you in a little bit. Just wanted to show you that is there. There's a lot of different performance and monitoring tools that you can use to look at your node. That's just one of many. That one is called NVTop. It is a command line terminal based one. Okay, so here's where we get to do a. Okay, Robin's got a question. Do you have any price comparison to this aim to other voice AIs, big tech? You know what? That's a good question, Robin. I don't. I have control over the aim, so I can. In fact, I will actually show you guys how to change the cost of this call from where it's at now to one whole USDC per call. But that's the kind of research that you as a node operator would be doing, and or if you're a node operator participating in a marketplace, and that marketplace is determining the price, and then you as a node operator get into a contract with the marketplace and say yes or no, and maybe there's a range, like, for example, gas station franchises, right? Gas station franchises are sitting within a range of how much they can charge per gallon or liter of gas. As you notice, you can go to different gas stations to get different prices. That marketplace is determined and regulated. I would say in this space, there's less regulation for this price, but the market is in its demand determining the price, right? So you as a node operator can be part of that sort of supply and demand experience that's happening within the market. Okay, so first things first, what would we like to say, and who do we want to say it? Let's see who comes up first. We have 100 characters, and that's including spaces. See Bonswaggle's typing. Walking. Let's get Walking speaking. And what do we want Walking to say? What's something we want to hear Walking saying?
Robin says have him say cowbell.
Cowbell. Okay. But what else? Like give me a good sentence here. I don't know that skit. But I can start typing something. No, that's make money, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's happening here? Are these nodes making money? If not, cowbell. How's that? Okay, there we
I
go. I
like
got a
it.
fever, and the only cure is more cowbell. Okay, I like that better. I'm gonna use that to a classic walk-in. And I noticed, by the way, that if you capitalize and put so if you punctuate your text, it seems to have an effect on how the voice stretches and tones into it emotionally and whatnot. And sometimes there is a training that happens. You'll get a different result depending on what you speak. Put a comma after fever. Okay, will do. All right, here we go. Here we go. I got a fever and the only cure is cowbell. Here we go. So we're going to click speak. I have to again confirm that I am the owner of this call and I'm willing to pay 0.02 USDC. Confirm. This goes into a processing phase. We come over here. We can look and see what's up. You can see it starting to step up over here on the right. So these processing requests have multiple steps. They go from CPU to GPU back to CPU. It kind of depends on what's being processed and what's actually happening. I'm expecting this to spike here in a second. You can see the amount of RAM has gone up to 5.5. It's going up to 40%, 32. Waiting for that process. Some of these take 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Sometimes they take longer. It really depends on the voice.
Fever and the only cure is more cowbell.
There you go.
I got a fever and the only cure is more cowbell.
There you go. Does that sound like him or no?
I got a fever and the only cure is more cowbell.
All right.
Almost. I think it needs tuning.
Sounds more like Nicolas Cage. I kind of
I
agree.
got a fever and the only cure is more cowbell.
Okay, let's go over to snakes. Who can give me a good snakes Pulp Fiction quote? Pulp Fiction quote. He's kind of fun.
Isn't there the I don't recall asking you a goddamn thing? Everyone remembers that.
Speak when spoken to.
How much did that transaction cost, Ray?
Let's try that one. Huh?
How much did that transaction cost that you just done?
That last one, this is costing 2 cents, it looks like. It's pretty cheap right now. I have it set at 2 cents. If you notice, it goes from 1 cent to 2 cent when I pass, I think probably 50 characters or more, something like that. Okay, here we go. We're going to click speak. Again, confirm. This time it's snakes. Let's see what snakes does here for our processing time. Nice. Had a nice little 90%.
I don't recall asking you a goddamn thing. Shut your mouth. Speak when spoken to. I don't recall asking you a goddamn thing. Shut your mouth. Speak when spoken to.
Yeah, that one sounds good. I think it does actually, but it's
I
it's
don't
also
recall asking you a goddamn thing. Shut your mouth. Speak when spoken to.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
going to give
I
that
want to
a
hear
C minus.
I want to hear Jennifer Lawrence say the same thing. Let's get a girl's voice in here. Here's Snake's histogram. We're coming up on Jennifer Lawrence now.
I don't recall asking you a goddamn thing. Shut your mouth. Speak when spoken to.
That's decent.
I don't recall asking you a goddamn thing. Shut your mouth. Speak when spoken to.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't recall asking you a goddamn thing. Shut your mouth. Speak when spoken to.
Decent, decent. All right. Do we have any other requests before I show you how to change the price of this call? She might have stuttered. The AI version of her stuttered. By the way, not only can you play this back in the widget, so you see this little thing right here, download audio. You can download the wave file that was created by that compute instance. You can download it and use it wherever you like. It's a wave file. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Okay, who are we going to give that to? Is that going to be Jennifer Lawrence, or do we want to give it to Freeman? Holly Berry.
I
All
think
right.
someone new. Yeah, Halle
Let's give
Berry.
it to Holly Berry. Okay, I'm going to change the cost. So let's have a quick little cost change. Antonis, tell me if you can see the node manager screen now. Just making sure it's switching back and forth properly.
Yeah, switching through.
Okay, so I'm going to come over here into my AIM that's running. And I'm going to come down here to the speak post URI. These are all paid URIs. This specific one allows me to define a cost that's not default. So I'm going to define a USDC based cost. It's a fixed cost. And I'm going to make that, this is in micro USDC, so you have to add 6 places. So I'm going to make this cost now 1 USDC for this call. I've just done that here by adjusting the fixed cost right here under this aspect. Click update cost. That talks to the game and says, hey, this cost has changed for this endpoint. So next time you receive a call, charge a different cost. Now, it's not reflecting yet here in the estimate. So I'm going to refresh the demo page, reconnect the wallet, sign. Then you see now the estimate has changed to 1 full USDC for the call. You see that here? Okay, so I'm going to go back and take Frankly My Dear, and we're going to do a Holly Berry speak. Let's see what Holly Berry does for us. It's a pretty quick one.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I don't know. What's the vote on that one? It's kind of short.
It's a no from me. Who do you know the dev for this, Raymond? Was it one of ours?
Huh?
The developer for the voice board. Do you know who it was? Was it one of our devs?
I recognize 2 of the names in the UI side. I don't recognize the developer for the AIM itself. I don't know if that's a previous developer or who that was. I want to see Tim Reynolds say this. Now I'm paying big. I'm paying big for these calls, guys.
Yeah, but Bonswaggle's got it correct. This is just a demonstration. We're not trying to sell the
Frankly,
actual.
my dear, I don't give a damn.
Okay, so was that Tim Reynolds? I don't know.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
That one's better.
Some of them are better than others. I've noticed that some, it really kind of depends on what you have the voice saying. Some of it really hits and it's very accurate, and some of them are not. It depends if it's out of character. I'm not sure exactly what the variables are there, but I noticed that some things are better than others. I haven't tested all of these. There's quite a few. A lot of them don't have graphics. I don't know who they are. But this is a good.
Let's have Carl Sagan say "To the Moon," and then I think we've had a good play.
The galaxies and billions of stars. in between. Good night, my friends. All right, I'm spending another full USDC here for you guys. It's a good thing it's a good thing that I get to see this back. I get to see my royalties back. See, my royalties have gone up. So it all comes back to me. Okay, so I'm gonna click speak. I've got it on Carl Sagan. Confirm the transaction. Let's see what Carl Sagan does to our GPU here.
To the moon, galaxies, and billions of stars in between. Good night, my friends. To the moon, galaxies, and billions of stars in between. Good night, my friends.
Decent. It's a little bit on the robotic
To the moon,
side.
galaxies, and billions of stars in between. Good night, my friends.
He's got a deep voice. I noticed. All right, awesome. All right, so time for some questions if we have any. Okay, Robin. How hard will it be to make these interfaces easier for the public to use? Will there always need to be manual wallet connects? So that's a good question, and that's really up to the developers. It just has to do with what is the aim that they're either creating for their application and task, or that they're using that's already created, and what do they want the user experience to be? Right? When I first got to this aim, to this voice board demo that you see here, there was no wallet connect. The estimator was not working, and a few other things. So I actually brought this wallet connect in. I can connect and disconnect, and I resolved the estimator issues that were taking place here with this particular aim. That's what I added and contributed to the specific repo that this UI is coming off of. You can do anything you want. You really do have a lot of flexibility in the experience that the user is having with your aim. But keep in mind that once it comes to the user interface, that's all about the marketplace. That's all about developers that you've gathered around your specific product offering and how you want to bring that out to the world. Of course, marketplaces will, over time, develop products that can be sold that are consistent, that have ratings, that have history, that have reputation, right? So you can say, here's my UI. I'm running it against this network, whether it's HMS or my own cluster of nodes or any other node operator that's available within the marketplace that I can actually pair my node and my UI with, right? So the marketplace is really in control of determining prices and pairing resources with user demand. That's the job of the marketplace and why it's such an important thing. To answer Felipe's question, yeah, so all of this that you see in this demo, I'm running myself. And the CBNO operators that are in our CBNO program, they're also going to be running this AIM. And they're already running another AIM, and they're running this node manager here. So this is all self-hosted. This is all on a
So I'll
computer
just
that
give,
I have also running Windows. Go ahead.
yeah, I'll just give a little insight into the operator side of things. Very soon, we're going to have the education course start. It's going to look very different from this. That education course is designed so somebody with no background in development or anything can just start to early on get the grips of operating, and then there'll be more modules introduced taking you along the stage. Someone was asking about hardware. You would for this, but you could run it on a cloud as well. There's a lot of flexibility. So what Raymond has shown you today is this tool is suitable for someone who's quite an advanced developer and wanted to build their own aims, run their own node on their hardware, do all of the work. But you can do as much and as little as you like. That's pretty accurate, isn't it, Raymond? There's no
Yeah.
it's,
As you can see,
it's
that's the cool thing, man. There's a lot of flexibility in there. So the first, if you've noticed what's happening so far this year with Hypercycle, to give a little summary, what's happened so far is we've established the foundation and the footprint for ownership of assets that can be managed and governed, traded and distributed etc. And then assigned for reputation and reward mechanism. That's the foundation. Now you can pull from that foundation and come out into your own world as a node operator, into a marketplace, or bring your assets as an owner to others to operate your nodes for you. You can see now that some of that operation is possible from a user experience, from a graphical user experience. It's part of what's been developed over the past year. A lot of work has gone into stabilizing specifically these areas here, the node, how it functions, the deployment of the aims, and interaction with this experience here. I hope that answers that question.
Patrick joined late and just wanted to see the node manager. I don't know if you want to click on the aims and financial page again, just do a quick scroll.
Yeah, I'll do a quick. So this is our front page. There's a wallet connect up here. You can register your AND fees or node factories through through these tools here. Those assets are what actually enable the node to deploy aims and function and take payments. This is the history of tilling and the reputation of the node. This downtime here is from me turning my computer off. This isn't a problem with the node or stability with the service or issue or anything like that. I'm doing great in my history. This is just a personal computer that's running this node, and sometimes I turn it off. Here are the aims. This is the aims that are running will show up here. In fact, let me deploy a name for you. This is the buoyancy aim. Actually, let me deploy a smaller one. This is actually the next aim that you guys are going to see a demo for. This is a smaller one. It's only 80 megs. And I'm going to have it using GPT's Turbo AIM environment. So it's going to be a wrapper and prompter for some of the backend language models. I'm also going to bring another language model in here called Grok later.
Just
So
answer another question. Sorry, Raymond, I'm just going to answer a question that's popped up. What time period will the training be released? So I assume you mean the education. I'm not sure on that yet. We're just waiting for the full package to release. I know that there will be, so you can step in at the very beginning and then just stop there. It will take you along further, but I don't know how long the full training will take.
So I just did a quick little deployment of the aim, and you can get into your aims here, change their cost points and whatnot here. Financials, this is the movement of funds through the aim, so payments to the node operator for deploying an aim, taking payments from users, how much they have in their balance, royalties that are being paid to aim developers, and in this case to the node operator, that the node operator is taking the difference. The monitor of the hardware resources that are powering this particular aim or this particular node manager. Basic usage logs, useful in troubleshooting and looking under the hood on the stack and what it's doing specifically, occasionally, and what issues it might be having. Like, for example, here's the aim I just deployed, the starting of the image. These are calls to this web page here. Is the Merkelizer going out and saying, yes, I'm here. The reputation system, the replication of blocks with the network and other network activity. And then this is where you have some control over, for example, driving the payment engine, enabling payments to actually function and be taken, received, and paid from the node. That's here in the payment engine. You have control over the registry that aims are being downloaded from, including creating local registries for development purposes. You can name your node, a few other things that we'll talk about later in other iterations like license freelancing, etc. Down at the bottom left here is where you have your node version. When there's a new version of the node, there'll be a link here that allows you to update the node automatically here. There's several ways to do that. You can also tell your node to automatically update itself on the next release. It doesn't ask you or prompt you, it just does it by itself. So that is a quick tour. And then over here is the front end UI for one of the aims, the turquoise aim. That's a speech to text, a text to speech translator. And then some voice avatars that we can attach those outputs to down here and have some fun with. Let's see, any other questions? What time period? Okay, I think we got most of the questions answered. I hope you guys
That was
enjoyed the
brilliant.
presentation. Yeah, thank you.
I enjoyed it. I'm sure everyone else did. As I said at the start, this is a pilot episode of Ops Corner. We're hoping for this to be a regular thing live from January 2026. And just a place where everyone who's interested in operating their nodes can get tips. Maybe you want to present something that you're building, or we want to present something that someone else is building, so on and so forth. But we do want your feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you so much, Raymond. Oh, we have one more question. Just wondering why this is in Hyper-PG Discord. Don't you need to have your own hardware to use it?
See if I understand that question, Robin. Just wondering why this is Hyper-PG. Don't you have to have your own hardware?
So I can address that, Robin. Hyper-PG is connecting all the pieces. They're connecting the developers, users, node owners, node operators, everything. And the idea behind Hyper-PG and what they're doing is they're just laying the foundation, and eventually other people will start coming in and building things and doing things that are independent, and just basically creating this decentralized AI marketplace for everyone. So things like this will be in the Hyper-PG Discord. It's more of a decentralized space, if that makes sense. Robin's saying, so it would not be Hyper-PG HMS stuff. I think all the aims you showed in that list are in HMS. None of them are walled off.
Yeah, no, there's no, the registry is actually public. You could read it yourself. And it's part of that AIM dashboard, Robin, that I've been working on. I do have a beta version of that. I just need to publish it and make it live, and I'll share it with you guys. It'll show you a little bit more in-depth view. It'll look similar to the aims that you saw here, but it just has more information about the aims, what they do, etc. So you'll be seeing that as well. And yeah, so even if you use HMS, so you can hybrid. You could use whatever you delegate to HMS. You could use HMS resources over there, and then whatever you delegate to yourself. You can't have an ANFI delegated to HMS and to yourself. It's either or. You can't have an ANFI chilling and gaining reputation and being part of a reward pool in HMS, and also enabling licensing and taking payments in the node manager that you just saw, which is running on your own node. Okay, so those are two different spaces. In a sense, you're your own little Hyper-PG. And you can create your own pool and even your own reward pool, just like HMS with Hyper-PG has done. Right? Excuse me, that's an endeavor that you can take on in the community. That's the power of decentralization and the power of the specific software system that we have here.
Crypto Fund will answer that in the general. Libra lives, I guess, to refine my question, are factories all or nothing with the nodes inside, or can multiple operators handle portions of it? It depends on the size of the factory. If you've got a level 11, so that would be 2 level 10 nodes in it, then you could have one doing one thing and the other node doing something else. That functionality is coming. So yeah, you could have multiple operators. And I think in HMS they are managing the nodes as single entities, not as factories.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind too. So if I can see Libra that question going kind of to a, how many aims can you run under a single license? And when this is all said and done, all your splits and done and stuff, it's one aim per HYPC. So if you have a level 10, that's 1,024 aims that one license is capable of running. Just so you understand how that works. That's quite a bit of compute power just for one level 10. So this is built to scale and spread out and be the true internet of AI. That's why this is here. It's why it's been designed and developed this way. And you're starting to see it now and what it can actually do and what it looks like. And keep in mind now, every single user interface you see, even the node manager itself, you can build on top of that. You can make that what you want. You can add to it. You can modify it. All of this is going to be open source for you to play with and do your own with. Particularly the UIs that you build for the aims, and the aims that become authored. Will that ever vary given complexity of aims?
Annie Pebbles asks, Raymond, will that never vary given the complexity of a name? So would one CHYPC node be able to always handle any aim?
Um, yeah, but keep in mind. So, for example, let's say on this particular node that I have here, if I had, if this node as it stands now with this voice board demo, let's say, goes into a marketplace and people start paying for the WAV files that this AIM creates, and we have demand coming in left and right. At some point, there's a threshold at which the AIM can meet that demand. You can't keep up with an infinite amount of it. So a lot of it has to do with the demand from the marketplace being made to the node. That's one. The other one is a demand coming from the AIM itself. So if you have, for example, a large language model that you're hosting in the AIM, and it's aggressive and it's under use and demand, that's going to be a single AIM that your hardware, if you're running on the hardware that I have, can do. My hardware can do maybe one of those. If you have a larger stack, you're in a data center, you have an H100, an A100, or a larger server with multiple GPUs inside of it, you're going to scale your AIM deployment capacity according to your hardware capacity. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Raymond. Okay, brief explanation of ways to get revenue on Amphi rather than just a pool. So you're asking if there's more ways, or are you saying? Not quite sure. Yeah, there's multiple ways to make money on an Amphi rather than just be in a pool. You can, as we've shown. Yeah, do you want to?
So right now, there's three ways. Okay, the first way is through HMS. The second way is as yourself using the tools that you just saw here, running a node, operating, and advertising as yourself to customers and clients that want to pay you for the deployment of an AIM and the payment to that AIM. That's another source of revenue. You're doing that on your own. The third one is the development of a marketplace that's underway. So the marketplace would be where you would advertise your capabilities and your costs, and then the market would come in and make a demand on that. So those are the three ways to earn revenue at the moment with your node factories and Amphies. Very welcome. I appreciate all you guys. This has been great. Yeah, that's it, Bonswago. Delegate, run your own, and sell live node on marketplace. Those are the three right now.
Yeah, and obviously the two key ways if you're a developer, you can deploy your AI for higher intelligence. So you might say, I'm just going to deploy it to the network because I want my AI to learn from other AIs. And your AI would be paying, so your machine would be paying other machines for their intelligence. Or you can deploy it to get more revenue. So you can build intuitive designs, you can source other aims for collaborative work, so on and so forth. There's so many possibilities. We can't even say all the ways people are going to use this. We're just excited to see it all unfold.
One of the pieces too, and this is a little further off in the roadmap, the fourth way.
The
fourth way, and
Crypto
possibly the
Minion,
biggest source of revenue.
Crypto Minion, do you know the current workload on the HMS pool? Are the nodes working at 10% capacity? They're nowhere near capacity yet. At the moment, they're all tilling. But yeah, there's a lot more capacity compute-wise.
A lot more.
A lot more, yeah.
Yeah, you would see those revenue numbers be a hell of a lot more if it's at 90% capacity.
Yeah.
So real briefly back to Bondswaggle. So the fourth way, it's not happening yet, but I anticipate honestly actually it being possibly one of the biggest sources of revenue, is once the nodes are capable of advertising their capability on an established network that has marketplaces all plugged in and operating and participating within the network now. Okay, now we're talking about a distributed network worldwide, tons of AIMS, developers and builders and UIs all done. And now AIMS are advertising their capability to the other AIMS, and they're orchestrating and swarming around tasks. Okay, that's where the real money is going to happen, in my opinion. That money's already entered into the ecosystem. Now it's just looking to see who it needs to pay for that specific task. And that's all going to happen automatically. You're just going to see money coming into the wallet of the node operator or whatever pool you're in. So that's the fourth way. But that way isn't going to happen until the ability for nodes to swarm and advertise to each other is present and developed. That's what's happening, being developed now. So I would say there's 4 ways, but that fourth way is a little ways off. Yeah, me too, Boo. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. All right, I think we're ready to close this off. We can answer a lot of these questions in the main chat.
I believe if we leave quietly, it will close down, Raymond. So thank you so much. That was a really good demonstration. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you, Libra, for putting this on YouTube, so anyone who missed it can go back, or if you just want to see it again, you can go back. And have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Love you guys.